They caught that guy, and they'll catch you next.
Under that wide open Arkansas sky.
Hey everyone, welcome to It's All Grady. I'm Denise.
And I'm Marcel.
Welcome to our homestead.
Yeah, welcome to our homestead. If you don't already know, we're a couple that gave up our city life for a homestead in rural America.
And part of our homestead is building our house.
It certainly is, guys. And if we're not building our beautiful dream house, we are building a farm, our homestead. We're building a whole new life.
Previously on It's All Grady.
Yeah, we got rained out. We thought maybe we would be able to get back out on our scaffolding and stuff, but because we were rained out, we found something else to do, and that was upgrading our panel, which ended up not working out as well as we had hoped, but we also learned how to wire up a light, and we got our very first light and light switch installed in our house.
We certainly
It was
did.
a victory, guys. I know it doesn't probably seem like a big deal to some people, but it was a victory for us. It's a small victory, but it's still a victory.
It really feels good to have lighting in that area, especially since it's that area, you guys.
Yeah, that's the area that you fell. It was one of our traumatic areas, which is why we're with you guys right now. Because over the course of the last couple of weeks, we have been traumatized as well. Most of it probably of our own doing, but it's because sometimes as humans, we end up filling the blanks to the questions that we get no answers for, which is that escape creep, right? That guy that escaped from the prison, that violated women and took a life, that scumbag escaped from the prison up the road. Yeah? Well, they caught him. They caught him today. All right. That's what I'm talking about.
So we decided that we would stop in and update you guys on this. It's exciting news to me because over the last 2 weeks, we have been living a lot different than what we're used to.
Well, first of all, I want to say that I'm very glad that they caught this fool. Yeah? Because he did not belong out here. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that at the end of this. But first, I want to say that you're right. We've been living differently. Anxiety, our peace, and our joy has been robbed from us by a terrorist. Yeah? A real ugly person stole that from everybody around here. Yeah? And it affected us in a lot of ways. It was our, like I said, our peace, our joy. It was harmony. It was our safety. We had some semblance of safety again in our lives. We were starting to build again. And then instantly that was taken. And it's mostly because our own minds, yeah? But I wasn't that far off. I really wasn't that far off.
So over the last couple of weeks, we have just tremendously changed our lives. Our routine has been totally different. We've had to become buddies in everything that we do. We pretty much stick together anyway, but the unease of just stepping outside into the darkness and in the shadows in the night, not knowing if there was somebody out there. Those are the things that affected us over these last couple of weeks.
Yes, and I have a real strong sense of obligation to protect my wife. And this guy is known, he is a criminal because he liked to violate women. So for me, it had me on not only like a scared status, but a very angry and a very vengeful one, because you come here and now you've made that decision for both of us, right? But there's still a fear there, because what if you're not fast enough? What if you're not good enough? What if, what if, what if, what if? These are all the things that were going through our mind this entire time. And we were told time and time again, like, oh no, this fool, he had help. You know, he's out of the state. He's out of the country. And I feel you. There is definitely an avenue for every single one of those scenarios. They're plausible. The thing is when I don't know, he's right here then, because that's what's safest for us. Now, we've added a lot of probably undue stress on our life as a result of it, but if it had come to where he was crossing our path, we would have been ready. I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As far as I'm concerned, I'm glad nobody found him and did to him what he did to the last person, because that's an easy way out. And now you can pay for your crimes. They won't put you in a minimum security facility anymore, I hope. Yeah. So what has it outside of what it did to us with the stress and the anxiety, the robbing us of our safety and security, what have we changed as a result of it?
So over the last 2 weeks, it has just kind of turned our whole lives upside down. We've been locking all of our doors, our vehicles, not going out at night unless we have to.
Checking our phone for every camera alert, every perk of your dog's ears, everything, every little sound is potential.
With that convict on the loose, you guys, we were so worried about just ourselves first and foremost. I mean, because you got to put yourself first. But we were very concerned for our community. We have a lot of people around here who are a little bit more vulnerable. All right, so over the last couple of weeks, we haven't been able to do any of our like normal walks around the property, just with the unease that we've been feeling. Not knowing where that person was just a lot of stress on us.
It certainly was, but it added first and foremost, it added an experience for us. It was a test. How ready are we? And there's a lot of like directions you can go with that, like psychologically and emotionally and technologically and physically. All of those things are being questioned when you are presented with a real life scenario, which was this. It was real to us because this guy was really who he was, and he was really escaping. He's really in our county, and it's really not that far from us. He's close enough that I was concerned, right? Now, I caught that full 10 seconds outside of that place, but as far as I was concerned, he was right here in my backyard because we didn't know. So what did it change for us? Changed our routine. We actually changed our routine in a fashion that I kind of enjoy maybe. You know, we've been paying more attention to each other. Now, we do need to have breaks from each other. So knowing that we can separate now is pretty awesome. But it has really brought us closer here because we rely on each other so heavily. Even when it's just opening up the door and going outside, it increased our security.
Yeah, it did make it tough at times because whenever I needed to tend to the chickens, I had to have my buddy with me, whether it be the dogs or Marcel. Typically, I'd prefer Marcel because even though we have the dogs.
That's our first line of defense is our dogs,
Yeah.
for security purposes. Then it was our cameras. You know, we installed new cameras, different types of cameras. We've even extended that. We'll share that with you guys up and coming. But for now, we'll just talk about, that's one of the things that we did. We also started paying more attention. We may not have been able to walk our property like we've been on this trip where we were looking for mushrooms and stuff. And then all of a sudden we were too scared to go in our woods for fear of being forced into something we didn't want to be a part of. We just don't want that in our life. You feel me? And I doubt anybody does. Whether we win, we lose, whatever. I just don't even want it, and I don't want to think about it. And it ruined a good time for us because of who he was, right? And how the proximity from where we live was close enough for me to be very concerned. Yeah, so it stopped us, but we started paying attention to things out of the ordinary, what looks different, you know. So it's starting to train us to pay attention to stuff like that, because it's not just the creep that escapes from prison, it's anything, animals, predators, whatever the case is. We're paying more attention today. Yeah.
It's unfortunate because we just came out here to live like a peaceful life, but at the same time, it's kind of important to just be mindful of your surroundings. And we wasn't planning on doing like a huge security system here, But now that's already done. It's done and over with.
Yeah, because you don't, just because you live rurally does not mean you are not subjected to the same emergencies anybody else might be susceptible to, whether you in the city or in the country or wherever. There's criminals, there's predators, there's always a danger out there. And I'm not trying to be fear-mongery or say, oh God, always stay on the alert. But it sure is nice when you have some things staying alert for you, because even though this creep isn't outside of our house now, he's back behind bars where he belongs. We have security cameras set up, and still, even right now, when one of those goes off, we'll check. And that's a good thing. It's a good thing, but we don't have to go look, because now we can just check. And we'll know whether it was one of our chickens, or a hawk, an eagle, a raccoon, and a coyote, a bobcats, bear, whatever. Other people, you never know, man. Just because this guy escaped from prison, we all knew. What about the ones we don't know about? The ones that are just like this guy that hasn't been caught yet. Yeah?
I like having tabs on our property, so I recommend the security systems. We got a lot of that stuff coming down the chute, so we'll be sharing that with you guys just as we go over stuff like that.
Yeah. We also started communicating with each other about what we were doing. Whereas just before this guy escaped, we didn't. One of us would just walk out and go do whatever. And you wouldn't really think much about, hey, I'm going to run down and swap laundry out. Now we're in more of a habit of doing that. What if I just come down here and a tree falls on me? And my wife doesn't know that, hey, I'm going to run down to the laundry real quick. It doesn't have to be the spooky, scary monster guy who does bad things to people. There's mosquitoes out right now. That does bad things to people hiding in my woods. It could be a fall. I could twist my ankle. It could be somebody let their mean dog go, and now I'm being attacked. Who knows, man? It could be anything. So it's always good to let somebody else know when you're on a property like this where you're going. You know what I mean? Because if they're like, wow, was he going to sew all the clothes together before he washed them? He's been gone a long time. You can start answering some of those questions early on because you know, right? So that's a good thing.
Yeah, and I think that we've learned quite a bit from this whole experience. It did have us in anxiety and at times even fear over these last 2 weeks. Just the tension rising each day that he was on the loose, not knowing, if he was going to come in contact with somebody else and ruin their lives as well. We really care about our community, so we are glad you guys are all safe.
We have shared a little bit about what it had done to us, being stressed out, anxiety, being on the edge. It robs your joy and your peace and your harmony. We just want to be harmonious with the world, and not be like, ah, right? And then we've shared with you about some of the things that we changed, like our security protocol, which is pretty much everything, right? And I even think that we say I love you more just in case. Just in case. At least I noticed Baby Cake, she says it a lot lately, like she thinks something's going to happen. You know what I mean? I just want to say I love you. Well, I love you too, Baby Cakes. You know what I mean? We also wanted to share all that stuff with you guys because we want you to know that we were not trying to sensationalize anything. It actually does affect us. When it's this close, it affects us. And a lot of people try to comfort us with the notion that maybe he's gone, all the stuff, but I knew in my heart that he wasn't. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to share this with you right now. First and foremost, we really don't know what happened, but here's what we do know, right? We do know that they caught this fool 1.5 miles from the facility, which means if you walk our front line, our property, and you walk it 1, 2, 3.2 times. That's 1 mile. He was only 1.5 miles from the facility. So he's not far. As far as how far he was from the facility, that's actually embarrassing. You put all that effort in. I'm glad that they caught you though. You know what I mean? But that's where this guy ended up. And I knew it wasn't going to be, in my heart, I knew that who was going to help this guy? On the inside, yes, maybe he had help fashioning the suit. Maybe he had help distracting a guard. Who knows? Things like that can definitely be possible. But who would help that dude when he got out? He was a cop. And I could be wrong, but I have a belief that true law enforcement that are law enforcement because they have a sense of duty and they want to protect and serve, those people, when one of their own violates like that, it is a hard, hard stab in the back. And I believe that they sever those ties, that blue bond that they have. Those are broken. You're no longer one of us. So nobody with law enforcement was going to help this guy unless they were kakalaka too. You know what I mean? Which is possible. You know, we got the other one up the road, man. Anyways, so maybe the guy had help in there, but I couldn't see it. Even a family member, you did that to a woman out of like passion or blind rage. I can see somebody making the horrible mistake of taking a life. Passion, anger, emotions can be very, very strong and make you not even think clearly at all if you're that kind of person who doesn't have any of that stuff under control at all, right? But you also took something from a woman that she wasn't ready to give to you, never wanted to give to you, and you took it from her anyways, and you robbed that person for the rest of their life unless they've got some miracle. They have to live that way now forever. You can't take that back. Just like the life. You can't never fix that. So that guy was a piece of crap. And I don't think that even a family member would get behind that. Unless they're clocka-locka too. But guess who was there to help him? Nobody. Guess who caught him? Law enforcement, baby. They were doing their job. It was a combination of law enforcement and technology that got this piece of crap 1.5 miles hiding in the woods like a coward. Thankfully.
Yeah, thankfully.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because there was a lot of worry. There was a lot of worry. Do you think that there's law enforcement helping this guy? Do you think that he had help? Those are all valid questions. They're all valid when you don't know. But it's relieving to know in the end they got this fool and he wasn't being helped.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, he was stuck.
You know, it's so crazy because this morning I had been thinking about it for a while. I was like, man, I wonder if this guy had a cell phone. And I was like, I think I should email them. And Marcel was like, they're already on top of it. Sure enough, news article came out today saying that they were pinging cell phone towers. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but it's just, it's crazy how they found him. They called in the border patrol or whatever.
They weren't messing around with this guy.
And within not even 24 hours, this guy got found.
Guys, I'm going to share with you my perspective. It may not carry a lot of weight, but it makes sense to me. Because I've been trying to process, how did this guy get out of there? How does that happen? First and foremost, who is he? And what did he do? All right, he had done 2 horrible things. That guy should have never been in that prison. But he was. Those are decisions that are made not by the law enforcement. That's other people make those decisions, and sometimes they base those decisions on an individual's crimes and where they can put him. They couldn't put this guy in any of the other prisons, I'm certain of it, because of his crimes, guys. He was ex-police and an SO. He was a woman violator. And those are 2 things that I am certain don't go well for a person when they're in prison. First of all, you was putting people in here and then you violated a woman. And even though these are criminals in there, I know that they have some sort of code where you don't hurt kids, you don't hurt women. Yeah? So they had to protect this guy, which is what's disgusting about it. So he ends up on a yard that he should never be on because he's dangerous and he's smart. He's not stupid. He's very manipulative. He has law enforcement background, which means he's observant to things that most people may not be. He also had some knowledge of the workings of a prison. So to figure out how to get out of that place probably wasn't that difficult. He was already in a prison he shouldn't have been in. He should have been in behind bars like Hannibal Lecter. You feel me? But they put him on a yard that he shouldn't have been on. And once you learn the workings of that place, I'm certain it's not that hard. Minimum security, understanding the workings. There's lots of movements. Maybe you know so-and-so is less like responsible. Maybe, who knows? Maybe you just know how it works and you look like one of the other people that are there. Who knows how that went down? But the guy was smart enough to get past these people. It's not because they're bad, and it's not because they're stupid or none of that stuff. They're mistakes. And usually when these mistakes are made, that's when the lessons are learned. And you're like, whoa, wait, maybe we should fix this. And that's, I'll guarantee that's what they're doing right now. Yeah? But that's what happened, guys. There was nobody helping this dude. Maybe another one of his kind in there was helping him. But law enforcement, no way, baby. They got him. So what does that mean to us, guys? What does it mean to us that he's caught?
Well, I'm glad that he's back where he belongs and not out here terrorizing people. Just him being out loose kept us on edge. So we're glad to kind of have some semblance of peace back, but I don't think that it'll ever go back to what it was. Just because it's kind of changed us, you know.
We've had a lot of experience that have affected us and changed us. That's the thing about life, guys, is with every new experience that you are open to and receptive to is going to change who you are, as long as you allow it to. And the changes that we made on this one are good. Today we get to breathe a little deeper, a little easier, guys. We can rest at ease a little bit more.
You know, the things that we used to prepare for in the city were a lot different. I mean, we were always having to be aware there, especially with all the craziness going on. You never know what people are going to do walking down the street. So now that this guy is back behind bars, I feel a lot more relaxed. We'll still be paying attention quite a bit, but at least we can get back to slamming and jamming and not have to look over our shoulder while we're working.
Yeah. That is nice, guys. First of all, we're not looking over our shoulder right now. Still got to be mindful and vigilant, because it's not just about a creep in the woods. There's other dangers that you should be mindful of, especially out here. And we've learned some of those. The dangers, like even just a fall. How much effect that can have on us for a long time. So one of the things we have to do is rebound from this. Because we can't live in fear forever over stuff like this. It's about being prepared. And usually your fear, at least for me, comes not for myself, but for the one that I love, right? That's where my fear comes in, because I feel confident for myself. But what if I'm not there? Then what?
So it looks like we're getting sunnier weather. That's another positive thing. We've been having rain, although I think we're supposed to get more.
Yeah, now that they caught this fool, the sun can come out. You know what I mean? I'll bet you that also had a pretty big effect on his ability to move. But that fool didn't have a plan. Get out. That's as far as it got, thankfully. And now he can pay for those crimes that he committed. And those families can rest at ease a little bit more, knowing that he's not vengefully looking for them. He's going to be living a nightmare that he's created forever. Maybe he don't care. I don't know. Crazy people are crazy. You know what I mean? But from our perspective, the man is where he needs to be, and there's probably not a cell that's secure enough for a POS like that. So we're happy that our community is safe once again, and surrounding communities, our entire country is safe from this crap of a person, right? Now, I'm not trying to be overly judging, but I have a hard time when it's those types of things, you know. And I know people make mistakes in life, and I believe that there's second chances in many cases. But I'm not the one to say that you get a second chance if you do certain things, right? Let's better people make those judgments, right? Because it's not for me. They get my judgment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we're just happy that this nightmare is over. We're excited to see what happens next. You know what I mean? What's it going to be now, man? Shoot.
Yeah.
You know, we've lived it all now. Falling and like feuding and escape and tornadoes and floods and like the fracturing of the trio. You know what I mean? There was 3 of us that when we came out. There was a lot of things that we experienced. That, holy cow, guys, what a journey it's been.
Man, this year is crazy, babe.
Man, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna be able to mow the yard tomorrow with earbuds in. And I'm gonna BG my way right through all this tall grass. You know what I'm saying, guys? All right.
It is way overgrown, you guys. Look at behind me. It is a mess. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to get to it because of the wet rain that's been just bogging us down.
Between the precipitation, the humidity, and the temperatures, everything that grows really well is growing really well. And if you know anything about that, it's weeds. And that's where all the ticks and gators and copperheads and chiggers are hiding right now, just waiting to get me and leave the leftovers for the mosquitoes. You know what I mean? All right, man. We're going to enjoy our night. We're going to be able to stretch out tonight because we feel safer. I just want to say thank you to the law enforcement that some people were doubting you guys. We weren't, right? We weren't. We knew you guys were kicking butt out there, and so did all the people that believed in you, right? And our community is going to rest easier tonight because of you.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We appreciate all your hard efforts out there. We are glad that everybody was safe in this process. And again, thank you for keeping our community safe.
Heck yeah.
All right, you guys, we're going to wrap it up for now. So if you're enjoying our content, please be sure to give us a big thumbs up.
Llama, baby.
Ring that notification bell.
Heck yeah, guys. When you do that, they're going to notify you when our content is available for viewing.
Be sure to share our videos.
Man, when you guys do that, you help extend our reach, and it helps us do this again tomorrow.
Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already.
Right now is the perfect time, guys. I assume most of you are at the very end here. If you are, just check your subscription. Sometimes YouTube yanks that from people for some weird reason. We don't want that to happen. It's not us, right? But if you're here this far and you're not subscribed and you know it, they caught that guy. And they'll catch you next. Nah, just kidding, guys. They ain't even looking for you. But we are. We're looking for all 350 million of us in this country and then the rest in the whole world that's on YouTube.
That's why you should share our videos.
That's why, baby. All right, guys.
We love and appreciate you.
Thanks for hanging out with us and listening to us. It was an update on what's been going on because we want you to know, because we know that you care about us and we care about you knowing. So anybody that has been living any stress because of our situation, you can now rest at ease too. Yeah? All right.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us and supporting us through this stressful time. And we're glad everybody's safe.
Yeah. We'll see you on the next one, guys.
Peace.
Bye.